Woman uses ex's couple salon package, gets taught expensive lesson. She knew something was wrong as she put all the pieces together. Why was the room cold? The masseur was also unfriendly. At first, she shrugged it off and chalked her feelings up to paranoia. However, as the unpleasant treatments continued, Sarah realized that she had been set up. With horror, she realized that her ex was the only other person who had known about the spa voucher. Sarah's ex Michael knew that she was a bit crazy. That's the reason he had broken up with her. When he left their apartment and packed up his things, he forgot about a couple's spa voucher that they had bought 2 months earlier. Now that they had broken up, they surely were not going to use it together. Sarah came across the voucher while cleaning and decided to call the spa to use the voucher and enjoy herself. She thought he probably has a new girlfriend by now and won't even miss me. The jealous lady didn't know that Michael remembered that he bought the voucher and tried to get it refunded, but they wouldn't allow him to. He was shocked because the voucher was quite expensive, over $1,000, and he wanted his money back. The spa reception had said that reservations were already made. Michael was shocked, but he immediately knew who the culprit was. Michael was livid when he found out that Sarah had used the voucher. He knew that she was always after money and would go to any extent to get her way. It was the reason that he had left her, because she was always demanding things. He decided that he was going to teach her a lesson and get his revenge. Michael questioned how Sarah had used the spa voucher without his consent. Why didn't he think of it first? He thought of the best way to get back at her. It was just like her to try and take advantage of him even after their breakup. He knew that he had to do something about it. How could he put her in her place once and for all? The clever man called up the spa and explained the situation to the receptionist, who was more than happy to help him out. Michael told them about his greedy ex who made the booking without informing him. He had a plan and asked the spa masseurs to help him. Michael asked her to make sure that Sarah got the worst treatment possible, and he would pay extra for it. Michael went to the spa in person and spoke to the receptionist, explaining the situation. She was sympathetic but told him that the reservation had already been made and they couldn't cancel it. Michael asked her to keep the details of their conversation private, and then he went to the masseurs. He had a big plan up his sleeves. The masseur was more than happy to oblige. She knew Sarah from before, and she wasn't a fan of her either. She made sure to book Sarah for the earliest appointment in the morning, knowing that Sarah was not a morning person. The horrid ex-girlfriend would be in for a real treat. But what exactly did Michael have planned for her? Michael told the masseurs about Sarah's deceit and asked for their help in getting revenge. They were more than willing to help, and they devised a plan to make Sarah pay for her actions. Michael felt a bit bad as he left the spa, but he knew that this was the only way to teach Sarah a lesson. It was going to be a hard lesson to learn. On the day of the appointment, Sarah was excited to be pampered and relaxed. She arrived at the spa, and the receptionist greeted her with a fake smile. Sarah didn't think anything of it and proceeded to the treatment room. As she settled in for her massage, she couldn't help but feel relaxed and content. She laughed to herself as she thought how clever she was to book the appointment before Michael did. But she didn't know what was in store for her. The treatment consisted of 3 luxury treatments: a facial, a full hot stone body massage, and a pedicure with a foot massage. Michael's plan was to prank his selfish ex with all the treatments. He told the masseurs exactly how to sabotage each treatment to make Sarah feel uncomfortable. She shouldn't enjoy anything, he said. During the facial, the masseur was rude and abrupt. First, she wiped Sarah's face with a rough, dirty face cloth and continued to apply some smelly gel all over her face. "What are you doing?" Sarah squealed. The therapist was a large hefty woman, and Sarah was a bit frightened by her. She just gave her one look, and she kept quiet. The next part of the facial was a hydrating mask. The sly masseur had put extra turmeric in the products to make her face yellow. She was horrified. She thought it would come out by washing, but then there was no water in the bathroom. She looked terrible. What kind of spa doesn't have a working tap bathroom inside? She said to herself, how am I going to go out like this? The next treatment was no better. The masseur entered and said, My, don't you look bright today? Sarah knew that was a go at her yellow face, and she was sure that her face really was bright red underneath the mask. What was wrong with all the staff at this spa? They were all so unfriendly to her. Sarah was not having a good time at all. She tried to relax with the massage, but the masseur was purposefully pressing too hard and burnt her with the hot rocks. The masseur was rough, and the treatment was painful. Sarah couldn't take it anymore and asked the masseur to stop. However, the masseur continued, telling her that this was what she had asked for. Sarah screamed for them to stop, but they didn't listen. She was terrified and didn't know what to do. Finally, they finished and left the room, leaving Sarah shaken and traumatized. She lay there on the table feeling hot and helpless. Why was her skin burning so much? She needed to wash the stuff off her body now. She ran out of the therapy room screaming and jumped straight into the fish pond with thousands of little Gararufa fish, Dr. Fish. Other ladies were sitting and relaxing and she interrupted them. They jumped out of the pond in shock. All the fish attacked Sarah's body. It was too much for her to bear. She jumped out with tiny fish bites all over her body. That was an exfoliation she did not need. Just when Sarah thought it was over, the treatments were not done yet. The masseurs dragged her out of the fish pond and things took a turn for the worse when the masseurs began to work on her feet. She immediately felt a sharp pain and tried to pull away, but they held her down. They continued to work on her feet, causing her excruciating pain. The pedicurist was rough and painted her toenails bright orange. She was horrified. She looked like a wet, sick chicken. Sarah knew something was wrong as she put all the pieces together. The room was cold, and the masseur was unfriendly. She shrugged it off, thinking that she was being paranoid. However, as the treatments continued, Sarah realized that Michael had set her up. Who else could have known about the spa voucher? As she got dressed, she noticed that her feet were covered in bruises and cuts. She couldn't believe what had just happened to her. She went to the receptionist to complain, but they didn't seem to care. She demanded to see the manager but was told that he was off sick. Her body was severely scarred and she looked worse now than she did when she arrived. She ran out of the spa screaming and her ex-boyfriend was laughing behind the bushes, but she didn't see him hiding there. Sarah was in tears by the end of the treatment, and she knew that Michael had planned it all. She felt humiliated and betrayed. She left the spa feeling angry and vengeful. Sarah knew that she had to get back at Michael. She couldn't let him get away with this. She started plotting her revenge, determined to make him pay for what he had done. She was fuming with anger and couldn't believe that she even loved this man at all. This was a wicked, cruel prank that she would never forget. Days went by and Sarah's bruises healed, but the memory of what happened at the spa stayed with her. She began to feel paranoid and anxious, wondering what else Michael might have planned for her. Although she wanted to get revenge, she didn't act on it. She thought about calling an old boyfriend for coffee. That would make Michael jealous. But something was stopping her from making a move. She realized that she had made a mistake by trying to get back at Michael. She had let her anger and hatred consume her, and she had lost sight of what was important. She wanted to move on in peace and start her life afresh. Did she really put the whole spa incident behind her? Sarah decided to call Michael and apologize for her behavior. She knew that she had hurt him, and she wanted to make things right. Michael was surprised by her call, but he listened to her apology and forgave her. Michael felt that he had proved his point and even admired Sarah for her change of attitude. But he forgave her too soon and he would soon find out. Sarah learned that revenge was not the answer and that forgiveness and understanding were more important in a relationship. She tried to be more friendly and contacted her ex-boyfriend for coffee. Sarah's ex Rory was a quiet guy. He always thought that Sarah was attractive and admired her. But the innocent guy didn't know that he was just a pawn in Sarah's real-life game of chess. Sarah made sure to show Michael that she learned a valuable lesson about the importance of empathy and compassion. She sent him a text message saying that she realized that she didn't have to be a villain and that she should have changed her ways. Michael was a kind man and forgave her. They both moved on with their lives, wiser and more mature than before. They even planned a double date with Michael's new girlfriend. Sarah was shocked to find out that Michael had a serious girlfriend. She was worried that her plan might backfire. She had to act fast. Sarah decided to book a romantic weekend getaway with her new boyfriend and make sure that Michael knew about it. She wanted to show him that she had moved on and was happy without him. Would Michael be a step ahead of Sarah's devious ways this time? Sarah's plan worked, and Michael was furious when he found out about the trip. He called her up, screaming and shouting, telling her that she couldn't move on without him. Sarah smiled, knowing that she had won this round. She had made Michael feel the same way she had felt when he had humiliated her at the spa. Just when she thought she had gotten away, Rory overheard the conversation between Sarah and Michael. He was about to take matters into his own hands. Sarah's happiness was short-lived. The romantic getaway turned out to be a disaster. Her boyfriend turned out to be cheating on her while they were on holiday, and Sarah was devastated. She couldn't win and now she was left in a worse situation than before. What would happen to Sly Sarah next? To protect the privacy of those depicted, some names, locations, and identifying characteristics have been changed and are products of the author's imagination. Any resemblances to actual events, places, or persons, living or dead, are entirely coincidental.